Today, we're gonna talk about the elephant in the room. We're gonna talk about something that affects all of us, and her name is overthinking. It's like our minds become this endless loop replaying the same worries, doubts, and what ifs, right? And the result being we end up feeling anxious, worried, and just kind of feeling stuck. Welcome back to Psyche Mastery. On this channel, we explore all things regarding the psyche and ways to just elevate us to become the best versions of ourselves by mastering our minds. Now, overthinking is a problem because it doesn't just steal our peace of mind, but it keeps us from actually living in the moment. So if you want to find out exactly how you can stop overthinking with actual practical tools and steps, then this video is definitely for you. So the first hack in being able to overcome overthinking is to actually recognize when it's happening. It sounds simple, but hear me out. So a lot of times when we're in the moment overthinking, it doesn't feel like we're overthinking. It kind of just feels like our mind is going through every possible scenario, right? I'm telling you, becoming aware of what's actually going on is truly essential to be able to stop it. One tip I would say is to actually label the thoughts as soon as they begin to happen. So for example, once you start having certain thoughts, you take a step back and you say, this is overthinking, right? Just the action of naming it can help you get some mental distance from those thoughts. You have to remember, you are not your thoughts. Those thoughts that come into your mind, it's not you. They're coming in, and you don't have to necessarily attach yourself with these specific thoughts. So you want to get in a position where you become the observer, observing the thoughts. So you want to create some distance between them. It's a small shift, but it brings a lot of awareness, and it's truly beneficial when it comes to stopping this overthinking loop. My next hack is to shift your what if to what is. Let's be real, overthinking basically means living in the land of delusion. So you're either living in what ifs, or you're dwelling on past mistakes or just things that might have happened in the past. One of the best ways to counteract this is to dial yourself back in and focus on the what is in the present moment. Truthfully, we get anxious and we overthink because we're spiraling out over the future outcome of whatever issue that we're dealing with. When you think about it, when it pertains to the future, usually our minds jumps to the worst case possible scenario. It's a survival technique that we use to protect ourselves, but it's not serving us, right? 9 times out of 10, and let's be real with each other, that worst case possible scenario, it most likely won't happen. We just like to think of the worst, so we know what might happen. And also when you think about the past, so sometimes we deal about the past, we get anxious and we overthink about things that might have happened. I know it sounds so simple, but truthfully, what do you gain? You really have to think about it. What do you gain from dwelling on something that has already happened? You can't change it. You can't go back in time. So why dwell on it? Why not focus on the present moment and what you actually can control? It gives you so much more freedom. So a tip I would say is when you catch yourself in that what if, whether it's regarding the past or the future, bring yourself back to what is. So you can say something like, right now, I am safe. You can say to yourself, right now, I have everything I need. Repeating things that are true for this present moment is basically a grounding technique that relaxes your mind, and it reminds you that you have everything you need to be okay right now. Whatever that might pertain to the future, remind yourself that you'll deal with it when it happens in the future. Right now, you are okay and you are safe. Okay, my third tip is to set time limits for problem solving. Here's the thing. Sometimes overthinking really starts with good intentions. I mean, you're trying to solve a problem and you really want to think about it and maybe just analyze, some good possible solutions. Unfortunately, when we obsess, our minds get caught in a loop of endless analysis. So what I want you to do is basically when you really want to think critically about a problem, because, there is a time and place, to think about stuff like that. You want to set a timer for like 10, 15 minutes, whatever time you feel like you comfortably need to really sit and analyze the problem and think of good possible solutions, right? During this time, you want to write down your thoughts, possible solutions, and just anything that may bother you. Telling you, get your pens and paper because you'll be able to get a lot more insight seeing it visually in front of you. Now, the key is when that timer goes off, you need to stop. This gives your brain a clear boundary so you don't go into an obsessive spiral overthinking things. You don't need an hour to over obsess. And a lot of times, throughout the day, we're rethinking the same things over and over and over again. And oh my God, you start feeling crazy. You don't need to do that. Once you have that time allotted and you finish the allotted time you gave yourself, you need to stop, because any more thought past that is just going to be repetitive and it's unnecessary. There's so much more productive things that you can think about, or you can just not think at all. Okay, my fourth hack is to practice mindfulness and breathing techniques. I'm sure, and I've talked about it before, you've heard about mindfulness and why it's important and why it's beneficial, but you've heard it before because it works, and I am a living testament to that. So 2 hacks ago, we talked about why being in the present moment is so important. And so when you're being mindful and you're doing breathing techniques, it helps you do exactly that, right? It helps you come back to the present moment and exactly what's going on right now, right? Because if you really think about it, whatever problem that you have, more than likely in the present moment, it's not hurting you, more than likely. So you can practice mindfulness by meditation. A breathing technique I love, it's super simple, is the 4-count breathing technique. So you inhale for 4, you hold it for 4, you exhale for 4. Let me show you kind of how it goes. So and you want to repeat this a few times. This will kind of just slow things down. It'll relax your mind. It'll calm you down, and it'll bring you back to the present moment. You have an Eckhart Tolle. I love that book. I forgot what it's called, but it's his most famous book, honestly. It talks about all we really have is the present moment. The past is gone. The future is not here yet. All you have is what's here right now. So you need to be in the present. My 5th and final hack is to take small actions to break the cycle. Okay, so what do I mean by this? So a lot of times when we're overthinking, it keeps us from taking the action that we need, especially if we have like a huge task to complete. We overthink and we obsess over it to where it's like analysis paralysis and we can't take any steps moving forward, right? So instead of allowing yourself to get stuck in your mind because this problem seems so big, you can, what is it called? Biting the elephant. How do you eat an elephant? You take a bite. You can take a very small actionable step. So here's an example. Let's say you're overthinking a decision at work. Instead of just, pacing back and forth in your mind as far as what you should do, you can do something very small, like sending a quick email. Not sending an email, you can write a pros and cons list, something very, very small. What it does is it helps break that cycle and it helps you build momentum. Newton's law, basically, I know he has a few laws, but the law of motion, right? An object in motion tends to stay in motion. An object at rest tends to stay at rest. That's why a small actionable step is so important, because no matter how small it is, it builds that momentum. And once you start, you can continue and you can create bigger tasks. But just don't think about the whole huge task. Just think about the first small step, and I promise you're gonna get there to, finishing or eating that whole elephant ear. There's an analogy for that. For those who don't know what the heck I'm talking about when I'm talking about it, the ear of an elephant. But basically, and I can't remember it, but basically, elephants have huge ears. But if you're trying to eat the ear of an elephant, you just take one small bite and another bite and another bite, and ultimately you finish the ear. I don't eat elephants. It's an analogy. So at the root, overthinking comes from a desire for perfection and certainty, right? The reality is life does not come with certainties. The only thing that's certain is death and taxes. We all know this. So there's really no need to have it all figured out, because you never technically will. Sometimes the best thing that we can do is embrace progress over perfection. At the end of the day, life is about the journey, not the destination. It's within the journey that you learn so much, that you grow, that you become exactly who you need to be to reach that destination, if that makes sense. You want to more so, instead of trying to be perfect and hyper analyzing everything, just take the time to learn from your mistakes. embrace mistakes, because that's where you learn. You know, that's how you get better. If you don't make mistakes, you don't learn at the end of the day. So there you have it, guys. 5 hacks to stop overthinking and live just a much cleaner life mentally. I hope these tips helped you to get a little bit more peace, confidence, and clarity with this. On this channel, we talk about just personal growth, personal development, and if you're into that kind of stuff, definitely subscribe, because those are the kind of videos I make. Psyche Mastery is where it's at. If you have any topics you want me to talk about, definitely let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I'm on a mission to grow fast as heck. So please subscribe, like this video, share with anybody who you think is an overthinker and could really benefit from this. I hope it got you value, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.